In this video, we are just going to go over Mathematics Paper 2 2020 ECZ. So we are just going to do question 8 and question 10. So as you can see, question 8a talks about earth geometry. There's calculus down there, B and C. But when you look at question 10, it's talking about trigonometry, or finding the angle, the area, and the shortest distance. B and C, they are just some extra simple questions which we are also going to solve in this video. Now let's dive into the questions. So question 8a, it's saying P, Q, R, and T are points on the surface of the earth as shown in the diagram below. Take pi as 3.142 and radius equal to 3437 Newton-hours. So the first question is saying find the difference in longitudes between point Q and R. So they have said point Q and R. So the first thing which you are supposed to do, you say solutions. So you first identify the positions of Q and R. So in this case, the position of Q, it is given by the first thing which we start by writing the positions is the latitude. So the latitude of Q, as you can see here, it is 60 degrees south. So you say 60 degrees south. And the longitude of Q, it is 41 degrees east. So you say 41 degrees east, like that. And then R, it is, what is the latitude of R? They are sharing the same latitude, which is 60 degrees south, comma. Now the longitude, it is 21 degrees west. So you say 21 degrees west. So they are interested in the longitude, which is this one and that one. So what's the difference? Remember, we use this, the memory aid which we came up, which is different, of which can be east and west. We do what? We add. But same, which can be west west or east east, we do what? You subtract. So in this case, it is east and west. So your difference will be equal to 41 degrees plus 21 degrees. So it will be equal to, you have a calculator, so you can use your calculator. The answer is 62. So you say 41 plus 21, which is 62. So you have 62, like that, degrees. So that is your difference. Now part B is saying calculate the distance in Newton-hours. So how do you find the distance in Newton-hours? The distance in Newton-hours, you say, since they have said A, they have said between P, Q, like that. So let me just erase this so that it comes nicely down. So we are finding 2a. So they have said the distance in Newton-hours between point Q. So you have to understand this first. First of all, you have to check point PQ. Where do they lie? As you can see, they are sharing the same what? Longitude. Therefore, since they are sharing the same longitude, therefore you are finding the longest distance. And then the formula for the longest distance is given by theta over 360 multiplied by 2 multiplied by pi multiplied by the radius. The radius can be in kilometers or can be in Newton-hours. In this case, they have said Newton-hours, so we are going to use this radius. Now you say you need to find the theta. Remember, to find the theta, we also use the formula of finding the difference. So the theta is mostly given as the difference. So the difference between point Q and P. So you say, you find first the position of P. So the position of P, it is 80 degrees north as the latitude and 41 degrees east. And then Q, it is given by 60 degrees south, comma, they are sharing the same longitude. So since they are sharing the same longitude, therefore our difference becomes in latitude, and then that difference we know that is equals to the theta. So you say we are going to have 80 degrees, but as you can see the signs are what are different. So we have a north and a south, so you add, so you say plus 60, which is theta will be equal to 140 degrees. So you say your distance will be equal to 140 degrees over 360 degrees multiplied by 2 multiplied by pi, they have said 3.142, 3.142 multiplied by the radius, they have said 3437. So you say 3437, and then you put Newton miles. So your distance will be equal to, now the easiest way of going about this, you first multiply everything which is on top, and then you're going to divide by 360. So in this case I'm going to say 140 multiplied by 2 multiplied by 3.142 multiplied by 3437 Newton miles. So I'm getting 3023735.12 Newton miles, and then you divide this, sorry this line, you divide this by 360. So you say divide by 360, so your distance will be equal to, when we divide this by 360, it is 8399.264222 Newton miles, like that. And then you're going to round off this. So in this case we need to consider three significant figures, but sometimes we can only have two significant figures due to the arrangement of the numbers. So in this case we can say therefore our distance, which is PQ, is given by, when we round off 9, we put on 9 here, it will become a 10, and then that 10 will get a 1, we donate to a 3, and then a 3 becomes a 4, and the 10 will just remain with a 0, and then this 9 which we have donated becomes a 0, and then we just stop where there is a point, and then we forget the rest of the numbers. So in this case we will say 8400. As you can see, how many numbers do we have? 1 2 3 4. Even here it is 1 2 3 4. So it is necessary for you to put the zeros, and then you discard everything which is at this point. So in this case I'm going to say Newton miles, like that, and then this is my answer. And then part B, so you can pause a video and try it by yourself and confirm the answers with us. Yeah, so I hope you have done that. I'm just going to go direct, and then please let me emphasize on this point, do not try to use that a shortcut formula. It is not advisable in paper 2. You have to show your work. It is very necessary for you to show your work. So that's the reason why they even gave us the pi to say 3.142 and the radius. They were interested to see how you'll be substituting the numbers and how you are going to be breaking down the questions. Sometimes you can get the answer wrong, but at least if the procedure is right, they'll give you some marks. So let's remember to follow the procedures all the time. Now let's go to part B. I hope you have tried it, and then let's see the answers. So part B, part 2B, it is saying we find the distance in Newton miles between the points R, T. So remember, the first thing we need to identify the positions of R and T. So in this case, the positions of R and T, as you can see on the surface of the Earth, here they are sharing the same latitude. So since they are sharing the same latitude, you say 60 degrees south, comma, and then what is the longitude of r, which is 21 degrees west, like that. And then you say t, and then what is the latitude? They are sharing the same latitude, it will be 60 degrees south, comma, and then the longitude, it is what? 71 degrees west. For the fact that they are sharing the same latitude, therefore we are going to consider this as our theta. And then remember the formula for finding the distance, it is this one. So distance is equals to theta over 360 multiplied by 2 pi r. Now in this case, since it is in the latitude, therefore it becomes the shortest distance, and for finding the shortest distance, it is always that we must include the cos lat, and then we say our distance will be equals to, now remember how to find the theta. The theta will be given, theta will be equal to, remember we are getting this because they are the ones that are different. They are different because they are sharing the same long latitude. So therefore we remember a dash, different we add, same we subtract. As you can see, these, they are the same, west west. So what do? You subtract. So you say 71 minus 21. So our theta will be equal to, this is 40. So you say 71 minus 21, I mean that is a 50. So you're going to get a 50 there, a 50 degrees. So you say 50 degrees over 360 degrees multiplied by 2 multiplied by 3.14, 2 multiplied by, now our radius, it is 34, 37 multiplied by cos. Now our latitude, remember they are sharing the same latitude, so you just get a 60 there, so it will be a 60 there. And then you are going to say your distance will be equal to, now remember if you have a cos, you start by multiplying with a cos, you say cos 60. Now if you want, you can punch direct, but I advise you to go step by step. You say cos 60 multiplied by a 2, and I mean 50 multiplied by 2 multiplied by 3.142 multiplied by 34, 37. Now when we say cos 60, we have found 0.5, and then you divide this over 360, like that. So you say distance will be equal to, now you say 50 multiplied by 2 multiplied by 3.142 multiplied by 34, 37 multiplied by 0.5. I'm getting, you write this number, which is 53952.7 Newton mouse over 360, and then you divide. So you divide 360, you are going to get 1499.8 6868611, like that. So now you are going just to say therefore, so you say therefore our distance, which is RT, is equals to what? It is equals to, when you round off here, remember this is a 9, when it gives to 9 it becomes a 10, and then if it comes a 10 we just round it off, and then we give 1 to the next number, which is 1500 Newton mouse. So that is our answer in that case. Now, having understood this, let's proceed to part B. And then remember, if you want to register and if you want to prepare for your exam, which is the internal exam, per course it's just 50 kwacha, and then you get to enjoy the services that you are offering. Yeah. Now, uh, calculus, which is part B. Calculus, guys, is very easy, so you just have to follow through whatever I'm going to teach you. So they have said a curve has a gradient x squared minus 4x plus a 3. Now the question is saying find the equation of this curve if it passes through the point 3 comma negative 1. So they have said that a curve has a gradient. So you can even just say gradient. You know that a gradient is represented by m. So you say a gradient which is equals to x squared minus 4x plus a 3. Now I want you to remember this. We have to understand this, that this gradient, it is the dy over dx, which is equals to the gradient. Now where there is gradient, you are going to put what? Dy over dx. So when you differentiate something, you are finding the gradient equation. So you are going to say dy over dx is equals to x squared minus 4x plus a 3. Now you have to understand that this, they have said we need to find the equation of the curve. So which simply means that we need to find the original equation before it was differentiated. Now we remember that differentiation is just the opposite of integration. Now the integration, it is the one which is going to help us to do what? To come up with the equation of this curve, since you have been given the what? The gradient. So you say you're going to introduce the integral. So the integral of dy over dx will be equal to the integral of everything, because we need to integrate everything here. So you are going to say the integral of dy over dx is just a y, which is equals to, now the integral of everything which is inside, you say, remember our formula for integration, we say ax to the power n plus a 1 over n plus a 1 in each term. So you say x to the power 2 plus a 1 over 2 plus a 1 minus 4x to the power 1 plus 1 over 1 plus a 1. We understand that any number, it has an invisible power, which is a what? A 1. And then we say plus 3. Now this 3 has an x which is to the power 0, and then we know that any number to the power 0, it is a 1. So 1 multiplied by 3 is just a 3. That's the reason why we are able to see this constant here. So in this case, we're going to say 3x to the power 0 plus a 1 over 0 plus a 1. Now we are going to introduce plus a c, which simply means that there was a constant number which became 0 when they were differentiating. So you are going to proceed by saying y is equals to x to the power 3 over 3 minus 4x to the power 2 over a 2 plus 3x to the power 1 over a 1 plus a c. When you simplify this, it's going to give you y is equals to x to the power 3 over a 3. Now 2 into negative 4, it is negative 2. So you divide the coefficient with the denominator down. So you say 2x to the power 2 plus 3x plus a c, because 1 into 3x, just the 3x itself, like that. Now we have been given the points here, which is these points negative 1 comma 2. So we need to find the value of c in order for us to complete our equation. At this point, our equation is not complete. So how do we complete our equation? By finding the value of c. So in this case, we are going to say this is a 3. So we are going to say, since you have been given x to be negative 1 and then y to be what? A 2. So we are going to say 2 is equals to, now x, oh sorry, I mean this point is for C. These are the points which we have been given. So we say we have been given this point which is 3 and the what, -1. So you say y it is equals to -1. So where there is y you put a -1 which is equals to, now x it is what, a 3. So you say 3 open bracket to the power 3 over a 3 minus 2 open bracket 3 to the power 2 over what, oh it's not over anything, so you just end there, and then you say plus 3 open bracket a 3 there plus a c. So you say -1 is equals to 3 to the power 3, it is 27 over a 3 minus, now we are going to have 2 open bracket, that's a 9, 3 to the power 2 it's 9 plus 3 times 3 9 as well plus a c. So you say -1 is equals to 3 into 27, it is just a 9. -2 times 9 it will be -18 plus a 9 plus a c. So you say -1 is equals to, now 9 minus 18 it is -9. -9 plus 9 is just a 0, so everything becomes a 0. So you can even punch on your calculator. Therefore our c is equals to -1. Then your equation becomes y is equals to x to the power 3. You just rewrite this, x to the power 3 over a 3 minus 2x to the power 2 plus 3x. Now a c it is -1, you put -1 there. Now this is your answer. Yeah, I hope we have understood this question. Now let's proceed to question C. Question C is saying find the equation of the normal to the curve. With the curve it is y is equals to x to the power 3 minus 2x squared minus 4x plus a 1 at the point open bracket -1, 2. So this question you say this is C. So you say y is equals to x to the power 3 minus 2x to the power 2 minus 4x plus a 1. So they have said find the equation of the normal. But if we remember, how can you find the equation of the normal? You need to consider this equation, which is y minus y1 is equals to m open bracket x minus x1, like that. So we need to find the gradient, and then we know that we have already been given the points. Y it is 2, y1 it is 2, and then x1 it is -1 there. So how do we come up with the gradient? You differentiate. So in this case you are going to say dy over dx is equals to the differentiation of x to the power 3. Remember we use a multiplied by n multiplied by x to the power n minus a 1. So a it is the coefficient, n it is the power, and then x it is the variable, n it is the power which must be reduced by a 1 there. So you say you do this to each and every term in the question. So you are going to say x to the power 3, when we multiply, when we say, we know that the coefficient of x it is 1, so 1 multiplied by 3 just 3, x to the power 3 minus a 1 as per rule, minus, I mean you can even say -2 multiplied by a 2, it is what, -4 x to the power 2 minus a 1, and then we know here that we are going to have a 1 there. So you say 1 multiplied by -4, just -4 x to the power 1 minus a 1 plus a constant number, remember, becomes a 0. But there is a correct explanation to that. Let me just not waste your time, but for now remember that 1 and in a constant number becomes a 0. So we proceed by saying dy over dx is equals to 3x to the power 2 minus 4x to the power 1 minus 4. Now remember that x here, it is what? X to the power 0, and then you know that any number to the power 0 becomes a what? A 1. So when you have a 1 here, which means you are going to multiply that 1 with negative 4, therefore it becomes just negative 4, like that. So this is your dy over dx, and then we know that dy over dx gives us the gradient function. So you say the gradient will be equal to what? 3x to the power 2 minus 4x minus a 1 minus a 4, I mean. Now at this point you also need to remember that we have been given the what? The value of x, which is negative 1, and then the value of y, it is a 2. So in order for you to get the actual gradient, you say 3 open bracket, here you're going to have negative 1, that's the value of x, minus 4 open bracket negative 1 minus 4 there. So you say m is equals to, now you have a 3 open bracket negative 1 to the power 1, it is just a 1 there, and then you have negative 4 multiplied by negative 1, it is positive 4, and then you're going to have negative 4 out there. And then when you simplify this, m will be equal just to a 3, because 3 times 1, it is just a 3, and then 4 minus a 4, it is just a 0. Now you have to pay attention here. They have said the equation of the what? Of the norm. This equation of the norm, it is the one which is perpendicular to the equation of the tangent. So remember, we are going to use, to the equation of the tangent as well, and also it is perpendicular to the equation of the curve. So what you are going to say, you are going to say m1 multiplied by m2, because they have said equation of the normal, and then you say this becomes your m1. So when you put a 3 there, when you multiply 3 multiplied by m2, just be m2, which is equals to negative 1, and then you are going to say over a 3 over a 3, like that. You cancel, you are going to have m2 is equals to negative 1 over 3. So I hope we've understood this point. Now let's proceed by saying, since our m2, it is the one which we have found, negative 1 over a 3, and then if we remember, we say y minus y1 is equals to m open bracket x minus x1, and then we are going to have y minus, remember the points here, you have been given the value of y, it is a 2, is equals to m, it is what? Negative 1 over 2 open bracket our x, and then negative, and then what is the value of x? It is negative 1. You put it in the brackets. So you are going to have y minus 2, sorry, here it is over 3, which is equals to negative 1 over a 3 open bracket x. Now negative multiplied by negative 1, it will be positive 1, like that. So you say here you can just do the shortcut one. You say the denominator multiplies with everything this side, and then the numerator multiplies with everything this side. So you're just going to say 3 multiplied by y, it will be 3y. 3 multiplied by negative 2 to be negative 6, which is equals to negative 1 multiplied by x to be negative x. Negative 1 multiplied by positive 1, it will be negative 1, like that. So when you group this as in the like terms, you are going to have 3y is equals to negative x minus a 1. This will be positive 6. So 3y is equals to negative x plus a 5. Negative 1 plus a 6, you subtract and get the sign from the bigger number by saying 6 minus 1 you have a 5, and then a bigger number which is a 6 as a positive. So this is the equation which they were asking you to find. I hope you've understood, and then I hope as well that we have gotten the difference between this question and also this question. Yeah, let's proceed to the next part of finding the angle of the question, which is trigonometry. So this question, guys, is very simple for as long as you just follow the steps that are required. So remember, how do we find the more like, let's assume that we don't have this point, and then here we have a theta. I mean, yeah, a theta, or let me just say an angle. You are going to say a squared is equals to b squared plus c squared minus 2bc cos a, like that. But in this case, we have been given the what? The value which we must assume that we are finding, but they haven't given us the angle, which is this angle there, which is cos a. So if you want, you can make cos a in advance as the subject of the formula, but me, I would advise you follow it systematically as I'm going to break it down. But yeah, also making this as the subject of the formula in advance, it is very effective. It's very, very, very effective. But let me just do the stepwise. So you say, when we know that the opposite of this becomes that, which is a small c there, and then our a becomes this is our a, and then our b becomes this one. So you see our a, it is 15.6 squared, like that, in brackets, is equals to our b, it is what, 9.4 squared, plus our c, it is 10.2 squared, minus, now here you say, you can even do like open bracket, 2 multiplied by 9.4 multiplied by 10.2. You can even say close the bracket, and then you write cos a, like that. And then when simplifying this, let's use the calculator. You say 15.6 squared is going to give you 243.36, which is equals to 9.4 squared, it is 88.36, plus 10.2 squared, it is 104.04. Now here you just do direct, 2 multiplied by 9.4 multiplied by 10.2, like that. You are going to have this, when it multiplies with a negative, you are going to have negative 191.76 cos a, like that. And then here, remember, these are like terms we can add, but this negative 191.76, it is already attached to cos a, so do not tamper with this, which is this side. So you just have to consider 88.36 plus 104.04. So you say 88.36 plus 104.04. You are going to have 243.36 is equals to 192.4 negative 191.76 cos A, like that. And when we group this as the right terms, this comes to the other side. You say 243.36 minus 192.4, which is equals to negative 191.76 cos A, like that. So when we subtract 243 minus 192.4, I'm getting positive 50.96, which is equals to negative 191.76 cos A, like that. So you divide over negative 191.76. Even this side you say negative 191.76. So I cancel this, I cancel that. It will be cos A will be equal to, when I divide this 50.96 divided by 191.76, I'm getting negative 0.265748852. Remember, here we introduce the reciprocal of that to both sides. So in this case, if I have cos A, which is equals to, let's say I have 1 over 2. If I introduce the reciprocal of this in order for me to get rid of it, I'm going to say multiply by 1 over cos. Even here, multiply by 1 over cos, like that. So you say cos and cos will cancel. I'm going to have a theta, which is equals to, this 1 over cos becomes, it is an inverse of cos. So it will be just cos inverse of 1 over 2. So that's the thing which you are going to do there. But you can't, it's okay if you don't show it. You can even just go directly by saying A is equals to cos inverse of negative 0.26574885 in brackets, like that. You say A is equals to, so you do shift cos inverse of negative 0.265748852. I'm getting 105.4114545, like that. And then you round off to the nearest whole number, which is what? 105 degrees. So this is your answer. As you can see, we have broken it down stepwise. Just follow it and then you'll be safe. We go to the next question. The next question is saying the area of the triangle. Remember, we find the area by saying area is equals to 1 over 2 BC cos, I mean sine, not cos, sine. Sine what? Sine A. So you say area is equals to 1 over 2. Now you say you get this and then you get that, and then remember our angle I found, it is 105, like that. So you say you substitute your values. Our B, it is what? 9.4 multiplied by our C, it is 10.2, like that. If you want, you don't have to put the the units, you show them at the end. And then you say sine, we have found 105 like that. And then you say area is equals to, so if you want you can use the 105.4111, the thing which we have found at first, but if you want it's okay, you can just do direct. So when I say sine 105 multiplied by 9.4 multiplied by 10.2, I'm getting 92.61296822 over 2. You just divide this by 2. Area is equals to, now in short I've just done 1 multiplied by 9.4 multiplied by 10.2 multiplied by sine 105, and then I divide by 2. So when I divide by 2, it becomes 46.3064841 kilometer. You know the area, it is always squared, so area will be given by correct three significant figures, in this case to be 4, 6 and 3. So I'm going to say 46.3 kilometer squared, like that. So that is your area. Now you have to find again the shortest distance. So how do we find the shortest distance? Remember, the shortest distance they have said from A to what? To BC. So if you are start using the shortest distance, which means you are using this route, and then we are using this, you are going to form a what? A 90 degrees. Now if we form a 90 degrees, this becomes our what? Our height, and then this becomes our what? Our base. So finding the area, finding the shortest distance, we are going to use the formula for finding the what? The area of the right angled or left angled triangle. So we say our area will be equal to 1 over 2 BH, like that. And then our area, we have found it is what? 46.3. So we say 46.3 is equals to 1 over 2. Now we are finding what? Our h, right? So our base, we know it is 15.6. So we say multiply by 15.6 multiply by h. So you say 46.3, which is equals to 1 multiplied by 15.6 multiplied by h. It will be 15.6 h over a 2. Here you can just do a cross multiplication. You are going to have 15.6 h, which is equals to what? So you say 46.3 multiplied by a 2, which is 92.6, and then you are going to say over 15.6 over 15.6, like that. When we cancel this, our h becomes, so when we divide this by 15.6, it becomes 5.93. so you say 5.935897436, like that. So you say you even do this, like you say, therefore shortest distance is 5.9. Now we can round off to three significant figures, so we say 5.94, or if you want you can even say 5.9, because no, let's just do three significant figures, which is the standard one. So 5.94 kilometers, like that. So this is your shortest distance. Now the last question, which is B, you can solve it by pausing a video, try it by yourself, and then afterwards you compare the answers. So you say, by solving the equation, so we are solving the equation which is 2 cos theta, which is equals to 1, in the range of 0 degrees less than or equal to theta less than or equal to 180 degrees, like that. Now remember, we have a what? We have quadrants. So this is the first quadrant, this is the second quadrant, this is the third quadrant, and this is the fourth quadrant. Here it is starting from 0 to, this is 90, this is 180, and then this is 270, and then this is 360. Now they have said that our answers should be in the range of what? 0 to 180. So from 0 to 180, so 0 to 180, so we are just considering the first quadrant and the second quadrant. So our answers must be in the first and in the second. But remember, our alpha, which is the first angle that we have found in the first quadrant, is equals to the theta. So in this case, our answer, it is just the same, we don't have to do anything. But in the second quadrant, we say 180 minus our alpha, which is our first angle that we are going to find. So in this case, we are going to solve this equation by saying 2 over 2 over 2, like that. We are going to have cos theta, which is close to 1 over a 2. So remember, when we introduce the inverse, it will cancel as in the reciprocal, so it will be cos inverse to 1 over a 2. So you say theta is equals to, now you know that 1 over 2 is 0.5, so you just say cos inverse of 1 over 2, which is 0.5, it is a 60. So this 60, you say therefore this is your alpha answer. But they have said that in the first and the second quadrant, because we know that from first to second it is from 0 to 180. So your first solution, it is this one, because we know that our alpha is equals to our theta. But in the second quadrant, it is what? We are going to have theta, which is equals to 180 minus our alpha, our first angle. So our theta will be equal to 180 minus 60, like that. And then you say theta is equals to, now 180 minus 60, it is 120. So you say 120 degrees. Now you say therefore your solution becomes theta is equals to 60 degrees for the first quadrant, as you know, and then comma, your theta also is equals to what? 120 degrees, like that. So this becomes your solutions. We proceed to the last question, which is a simplify, which is a very basic one as well. So you say we have, which is part C, we have 3x to the power 2y, 3x to the power 2, and then a y there, over 8x y to the power 3. We divide by 9x to the power 3 over 4y to the power 4. And then you say 3x to the power 2y over 8x to the power 3. Now you know that when you want to introduce the multiplication, the denominator becomes the numerator to the left, to the right. So you say 4y to the power 4 over 9x to the power 3, like that. So if you want, you can expand this by having 3 multiplied by x multiplied by x. We know that we have x squared, which means you have 2x there, and then you say multiply by a y over 8 multiplied by x multiplied by, we have 3y because it is raised to the power 3, so we are going to have y multiplied by a y multiplied by a y. Now here there is multiplication of the everything, which we are going to say 4 multiplied by, how many y do we have? 4 as well. So you have y multiplied by y multiplied by y multiplied by y over 9. You have how many x? 3. So you say x multiplied by x multiplied by x. Now you start cancelling what is common. Remember, everything which is down enters everything which is on top. So I can say y and the y there goes, y and the y there as well goes, and then this y and the y there goes. I have x down here, so this x goes with that x there, and then I've just remained with one x, so I am going to say this x goes with that x there on top, and then I'm able to see whatever I'm remaining with. So if I want, in order for me not to get confused, I can say I'm remained with 3 multiplied by a y over 8 multiplied by, okay, here we have nothing, so these are just a 1 there, and a 1 and a 1. So this, when you multiply, it becomes just a 1, and then you have a big multiplication there, and then you're going to have 4 multiplied by a y over 9x multiplied by x, like that. So when we have these, we are going to say we divide now the numbers. As you can see, 3, it is 1, and then 3 into 9, it is a 2 there, and then you know that 4, it is a 1, and then a 4 there, it is what? A 2, like that. So you say, if you have this, you can even say here you have 1 and then there 1, so we are remaining with just a y over a 2 multiplied by a y over a 2 multiplied by x, like that. I mean, you have 2x, so you have 9xx, so you have 2x multiplied by x as well. So here there is multiplication there, and then when you multiply these, when you multiply those, your answer becomes y times y, it is y squared, over 2 times 2, it is 4, and then x, how many x do we have? 2, so you say x squared, like that. That is your answer. So these are the solutions to question 8 and 10, which from the paper 2020 Mathematics ECZ. Thank you for watching this video.